So now we are going to see the tools that we will be using in the sculpting lesson. So the first and the foremost is the Dresden tool that any cake decorator would have. There are quite a couple of kinds of the Dresden tool. So you can see there is that pointy side on one end, and there is the flat side on the other. You could have just one of this, and this comes in handy in most of the work that we will be doing. And if you have just this, you could just use only the Dresden tool as well. But there are other tools, sculpting tools that I use and which help in a bit more intricate work. Okay, so these ones are the wooden sculpting tools, clay sculpting tools basically. You can find them in the stationeries, art and craft stores, or even in the Amazon online purchase you could do. So you can see the ends on both the sides have different shapes that comes in handy for specific uses, and we are not having any definition of where exactly they have to be used, but depending on the areas that we need to work and however we need to be using them to shape or press or remove or give dents and things like that, these tools I will be using quite often. You can see this is a flat area here, and this comes in more like the Dresden tool itself, but however you can see the back of it, there is a little change. Now what Dresden tool could do, this also can do, but then sometimes the wooden thing comes in handy when I work, and this is like a knife, or when you have to make sharp cuts on the modeling chocolate or any clay for that matter, edible clays, whichever ones that you use, they all come in handy. There is the pointy one on both the sides where you need to kind of say maybe you working on a face sculpting, and then this will come in handy to make the nose holes or ear holes and things like that. So they go in sharp in, but then as it goes here, it is going to have a bigger opening, and then you just open out by just swirling around, and then you have bigger cuts. And this is the Dresden tool, kind of a shape on both the ends. I like to use this much. And then here is the knife on one side, but it is not a very sharp one, kind of a blunt knife on one side, and same the Dresden tool stuff on the other. Okay, so this I quite like to have it with me whenever I am doing sculpting, though I have the Dresden tool because this type of the wooden tools are there always with me. I prefer using them rather than the Dresden. Okay, and so these ones here I have are the dental tools. Basically they are available in the Amazon online thing itself. You can see they are metal based. Okay, and there are different kinds of designs, if we may call it, on either side. Each of them are quite unique. It comes in handy depending on which sculpting we got to do. They are the knife like, and they are quite sharp compared to the wooden one, which is quite thick here on the sides, but then the metal you can see is quite thin. So scooping out and things like that is quite easy here rather than the wooden. But then the wooden becomes very handy when you are just smudging out and then just getting things smoothened over. That happens with this metal as well. It's not necessary to have all of them, but then you just invest in one of the sets first. Okay, and then based on how you like working with it, and if it satisfies most of your carving and the sculpting needs, then you can just stick with that set until you feel like you want to explore some more options. Okay, so I'm just checking a tool like this I have used quite as much while scooping out or just trying to give dents. It's like you can just scrape off anything that is in excess over the modeling chocolate. You're just wanting to scrape off a thin layer, then this one comes in handy. Okay, this is part of the dental tool. Now the last one, which is again quite an important set of tool, is the scooping tool. Okay, so you can see the loops are there in the tip of the this tool, and the loops are quite like a triangle in like 4 of them, but then the triangular loops are of different sizes. Okay, so you can see this, both of them quite similar, but you can see the shape is a little different. And this again, these two are the same kind of flat triangle, and this you can see like the right angle triangle has a pointy end on one side. Like say if you're like maybe doing a face sculpting, and then around the nose, if you're wanting to kind of scoop out for the nose, you want to remove of the excess, then you just go around and then take it out. So this is going to get dug in, you'll be like digging in the modeling chocolate and removing off any excess that you feel like you want to give more depth. You can just also use this part and then just scrape off. It is just going to shave around and then get you a clean dent. And there are two here which are the circle ones. They are again used for scooping. You just go and then remove. It is more like shaving around, but then it just removes. Depending on how much pressure you use, it just shaves or then takes out the modeling chocolate to create dents. And as much after you've taken out the modeling chocolate using this, then you use any tool from the dental toolkit. After the dents are created, you just use this to smoothen out, or you could just use your fingers also to do the smoothening part, or then you can just switch over to the wooden to just smooth out, where you just want to not have like an extremely dented area that comes with the scooping tool. And after you have just dented it out, you use one of the tools to just smooth out, where you have a smooth transition from a dented place, like because maybe you're making a cheek and then maybe you're just giving a dent right next to the nose, where the cheek and the nose dent has to merge gently, and that you will have to be doing by scooping out excess using the scoop tool, and then just merging it using the sculpting tool, which can either be the wooden or the dental tools, are also very handy. So these are the tools that we will mostly be using. And one last thing is this spray bottle. They are very useful, because as we are working with a modeling chocolate, depending on the temperature that you work in, depending on your room temperature, they could get in very sticky when you're working. Use your plain hands basically, so you will be able to just touch and feel the modeling chocolate as you will be sculpting. But as and when it gets sticky, now we need to be just rubbing our hands in water. So then the oil is just not going to combine with the water that you have, and then it's going to help smooth out. So a layer of water all the time on the modeling chocolate when you're working with your hands. With the tools it doesn't matter, because there's no heat that is getting transferred from the tools onto the modeling chocolate. But if you're going to use your hands, then as you keep working, then it starts melting, and when it becomes sticky, it sticks to your hand. So you don't want the modeling chocolate to stick to your hand. So you have this spray bottle, and then keep spraying, which we will be seeing in the lesson how I'm going to use. So just fill water, just drinking water in this, and then we use this to just go on and then spray the water on your hands also, sometimes like that, and then just rub your hands to just wet your hands as you're working. Also in the lesson you can see that I would be spraying it on the sculpture itself as I am working. So a spray bottle like this will be quite handy. If you are not able to get that, it is okay, but then this just distributes the water all over the sculpture, like without too much water here and there, or the water is not going to drip or anything. But the other way is to have a sponge and then dip it in water and then just go dab over the the modeling sculpture that you're working. Or maybe you can just use a simple brush and then paint. Brush painting is just going to drip off water, so having a sponge to dab, or if you have this spray bottle, then that will come in quite handy, and I'll be using this quite as much in the lesson. So these are about the tools. So let's just actually get into the lesson of learning how to make the edible sculpture, the relief elephant.